I'm a big involver in the world of conspiracies, but it is largely US centric, which you can kind of tell why, because the USA is quite a spectacle, and a lot of the key players and major figures are American, and the US government is quite staunch in size. But if you haven't been able to tell already, I'm British, so British. But I wanted to discuss a few conspiracies a bit closer to home because our government is just as deplorable, and bad things happen here, or odd things happen here as well. There's like the ones that everyone knows that I won't really go into, but I'll mention. The quite an umbrella term, but the royal family. I think just saying that is enough to raise a sense of a conspiracy. People believe lots of different things about the royal family. Then you have the Murdoch News Foundation, further into them, whatever. And then there's also the Six Peace in Westminster and Parliament, which are a few that I won't be going into, but I thought were worth mentioning. And then here are some that I will be mentioning. So in 1984, an old woman, 78 years old, Hindler Murrell, was found beaten, stabbed, and she unfortunately died. But her death was said to be just a man had broken into her house, and done it out of some sadistic rage. But when you look into who Hindler was, she was a high-profile anti-nuclear campaignist, and she was one of the people who everyone looked up to in opposing Margaret Thatcher's new nuclear strategy. And as she was gaining more prolific following in opposition to this proposed scheme, this just happens out of the blue. She's murdered in a random passion killing, but people believe it may have been, and I say there's credence to it being the MI5 orchestrating this, because it just falls, people do get murdered in such a way, but it's just so convenient that it happens to this person, because it's a rare occurrence still, and it happens to this person right at the, teetering of the edge of her pushing for some change. The second being a bit of a funny one, the MI5 potentially being involved in the foundation of neo-Nazi group Combat 18, which there was speculation that they'd maybe started a thing to draw out the more extreme members of the BNP so as to, arrest them. But it backfired, and, they created a giant thing that spiraled out of control and became a huge neo-Nazi group. But members of that, including some high-ranking members, when arrested, were implicated to have been involved or informants for the MI5. So it's kind of a fishy one. And also, at the time, there was potential for it also being a gateway into sort of loyalist Irish groups, because we all know that MI5 was doing a bit of Abuki stuff over in Ireland at that time as well. Well, and America, they have their biggest share of conspiracies is probably the CIA's involvement in different countries and overthrowing and killing or attempting to kill foreign leaders. We've got that too, I can never say his name, I'll try my best. Lumumba, the first Prime Minister of the Dominican Republic of the Congo, MI5 or just British politics being involved in or British intelligence is probably a better term, being involved in him being able to be acquired and killed by rebels, which they've been trying to do for ages, and the second the UK steps in, he ends up dying. And they did come out, British higher-ups did come out and kind of colloquially confess to that, so they probably did that. Then you have attempts, they definitely did attempt to assassinate Gaddafi multiple times and funded Al-Qaeda in attempts to assassinate Gaddafi. And then there was also definitely an overthrowing of the first president of Indonesia in the 40s, because they randomly give it was like 100,000 but a billion in today's money to groups that would then go on to do such a thing. So yes, there are some definite conspiracies on this side of the pond, and there's another that I don't know if I can mention. So YouTube, don't ban me for mentioning this one. But there's also the conspiracy that perhaps the, I don't want to say it, the seven was orchestrated by same British intelligence agency, which I don't know. It's very circumstantial type conspiracy, but you can see where it's coming from when you raise the points they look into, like the fact that there's really no evidence that the people behind it were the people who did it, other than people said, yeah, that was them, I saw them there, it was them, or CCTV footage, which, going back, there's nothing more to that, so I don't know really. So that's our conspiracy theories. Do what you want, just comment some more, and